There was a fourth gray alien and he was alive, reveals Roswell Eyewitnesses. Apparently, a Roswell survivor existed and was critically injured during the crash. Don Schmidt, who happened to be one of the prime investigators, stated that he and his team came across hundreds of people claiming to know about what really happened, including certain information about a survivor. In 2011, when Open Minds magazine wrote about the case, they asked Schmidt for his best evidence that a pilot or an alien of the crashed UFO had survived. A series of stories emerged, and there is a possibility that these stories could be true. One of the stories includes the details of a Roswell survivor with gray skin and big eyes. The first testimony has been given by Frankie Dwyer, who was around 12 years old in 1947, and her father, who was the chief of the Roswell Fire Department, was the first to reach the site of the accident. Afterward, her father was threatened and advised by the military to remain mum about whatever he had witnessed. Frankie's father was accompanied by Lee Reeves and by a couple of other deputies, including the Chavez County Sheriff, and they had reached the spot of the accident a few moments before the military arrived and secured the area. The entire fire department witnessed that whatever had crashed was not a plane or a balloon. Instead, it was an egg-shaped craft. Frankie's father further witnessed 3 small humanoid bodies laying on the side of the spaceship or UFO. However, what has remained unknown till now is that there was one more alien being on the spaceship who had apparently survived the crash. It had grayish skin, a big head with 2 large black eyes. The stature of the humanoid was nothing taller than that of a 10-year-old. As Dan Dyer got closer, the military started to set up a perimeter around the area. The firefighters were taken away and taken to a remote area where they were firmly told not to talk about what happened. That same night, another group of soldiers went to Dyer and his wife's home and threatened them. He and his wife were asked to remain quiet about the incident as the government is powerful enough to disappear his children. George Wilcox, who has been the sheriff of Roswell at the time of the crash, also had a story to tell which he passed upon his granddaughter. His granddaughter revealed that her grandfather was so threatened that he did not want to join his job back. George and his wife were both put in jail to prevent them from revealing the details of the crash, and they were told not to tell anything about the crash to the general public, and in case they do, his entire family will be killed. His granddaughter stated that there were 4 casualties in the crash, and one of them had survived the crash. All 4 humanoids were in silk suits, and the area at the crash had caught fire, which created the alert. Sergeant Homer G. Rolette Jr., who had joined the 603rd Air Engineering Squadron RAAF in 1947, served the nation for 26 years and retired in 1967. Prior to his death in 1988, he told his son Larry about the Roswell UFO crash and what he had seen at the site. He was also part of the squad which was appointed to clean the accident site after the dead bodies were confiscated by the government. At this moment, he saw things that were beyond his understanding. He had retrieved a thin sheet that held its shape from the spaceship. He also went into great detail about the ship, the corpses of the little men who had been flying it, and the one survivor who managed to stay alive after the crash. This testimony is pretty much identical to that of Richard Loveridge, a mechanical engineer at Boeing Aircraft Company. While he was on the team that looked into accidents, he heard about something that happened just outside of Roswell. Assuming that one of his planes has crashed, he arrived at the site. However, to his surprise, the incident was very different than what he expected. During his final years in 1993, he confessed to his family that he had witnessed traces of an unknown spaceship, 3 dead childlike creatures, and 1 survivor. Loveridge said that they were about the size of a child and had a grayish color. He finally told them to stop asking him questions because they could hurt them. Irvin Boyd, who worked on AB-29 at RAAF Airfield, was another mechanic who worked in Hangar P-3, which was later renamed Building 84. On the day of the incident, Boyd was smoking quietly by the hangar's doors when he saw several people and vehicles moving quickly toward the building. He was shocked when he saw the bodies they brought. Upon a closer look, he was shocked to see 3 humanoids who were definitely not humans. The mechanic's explanation matches what the other witnesses said about the dead entities, which is the petite body with gray skin, big heads, and eyes. He also claims that one of the 4 had survived the accident. Officers dragged Boyd away from the scene right away and told him that he didn't see anything. He was also beaten by the officers. Irvin revealed all of it to his family after suffering from a stroke. On July 7, 1947, Joseph Montoya, the Lieutenant Governor of New Mexico, who was 32 at the time, was in Roswell. His presence at Roswell, being a politician, is inexplicable, but it has been asserted that he did see the bodies, one of which may have been a survivor. It is believed that he was there for the Independence Day celebration and the inauguration of a new airplane. After the ceremony was finished, he was escorted to the B-29 hangar where the military vehicles had initially arrived with retrieved wreckage and dead bodies. He further confessed that he saw 4 little creatures and one of them was alive. Each of those bodies was placed on a table and the one alive was heard moving and complaining. Private First Class 390th Air Service Squadron RAAF Airfield Eli Benjamin, who had a top-secret clearance, was given the duty to help the 509th Bombardment Group with security for its secret operations, the world's first wing for an atomic bomb. As a recovery specialist, his job specifically included activities associated with plane crashes. Colonel William Blanchard told them to be ready for special tasks at the moment the incident occurred. He was instructed to get his gun and stand guard at the P-3 hangar. When he got to the building, there was a commotion at the front door. Several soldiers tried to get a hold of the officer who was Benjamin's senior and was instructing him. The officer was suffering from a panic attack as he couldn't get 4 stretchers to the base hospital, so Benjamin was put in charge of the job. While moving the bodies, Benjamin noted that one of the bodies had shown some signs of movement. When they were being put into the back of an ambulance, a sheet fell and Benjamin was surprised to see a strange creature. The last order Benjamin received was to carry the load and stay in charge until relieved from duty. Once they got to the hospital, half a dozen doctors, nurses, and men in suits took charge of one of the gurneys and clearly one of the creatures was still alive. They pulled all the MPs back right away and sent them back to their squads. Eli Benjamin couldn't remember the names of the other men who were on guard duty with him since it had been 63 years. Benjamin had revealed all of it to his wife and asked her not to reveal it to anyone. Even to this day, there is no eyewitness to the Roswell incident, but it has been revealed by a credible source that the Roswell survivor was kept at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base until 1948. Well, what are your views about the Roswell incident? Let us know in the comment section. The information that the Roswell survivor was kept at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was revealed by Lieutenant Colonel Marion Magruder in 1997. He was a celebrated pilot of World War II and he swore on his 5 children that while he was serving at the Superior War School, he was deployed at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in April 1948, where he briefly saw the live alien. He and his companions were told that the creature was retrieved from the Roswell incident. All of the other witnesses agreed with what he said, noting that there was no question that he was from another planet. The eyewitness accounts in the case are all dead, but they all did say the same thing. They told the truth on their deathbeds. Was there really an alien who lived through the Roswell crash, and were witnesses told they couldn't tell the truth?